right, Chase, we are back live with no tornadoes. Congratulations.
We are live and alive.
We are alive, just like the video game.
Ooh, alive. Now that's a video game.
See, that's a good pull.
Let's just talk about alive.
That's what you get when you come to the Casual Hour. Good takes, Midwest, and video games. Chase, how do we sound? Are we coming in a little loud?
Good.
We're good?
No, you sound good.
Okay. We are back with part 2 of our deep dive that Chase had painstakingly put together last week, only to have the tornado rear its ugly potential head up again.
I was so close.
In a lot of ways. But yes, for those of you who are new to the show, last year around this time, your friend and mine, Chase, was unfortunately impacted by the great tornado that hit St. Louis. And weather's just been weird recently. We've had a lot of really aggressive storms come through. And the night that we didn't expect a very aggressive storm, we ran to our basement. So we had to end a little early last week. But in case you are wondering what we're talking about, Chase debuted the Pocket Pikachu. We talked about Replaced. And you had a Pokemon step counter, I believe, as well. The pedometer, right?
Oh, the Pokemon Pikachu is a pedometer.
Didn't you have another one with you, though? You had 2 things you held up at once.
I do. We'll get to it.
Oh, sorry. Well, you already, it's not a surprise. You've already fucking talked about it.
I mean, we haven't talked about this part yet. I guess I did show it.
Yes, you absolutely did.
The Pokewalker. But we haven't gotten to that in the story.
No, yet. I'm setting it up. That's what we're doing. This is the beginning of the show, what people are getting into.
I try to surprise and delight the viewers.
Oh, my God, Chase. You already talked about it. This is a part 2, in case you forgot. Did the tornado hit you? Come on.
There's a thing I haven't talked about. I didn't talk about it last week, and I'll talk about it this week. So
oh my God. You will get your time to talk. I promise you. Calm yourself down. You've already debuted both of those, both hands at once last week. I got it on video.
Well, I don't have the physical thing for the other thing I'm going to talk about, but there's more to talk about.
So before Chase gets too much upset, we did talk briefly about the device that we just teased for tonight. But if you want to follow more about the Pocket Pikachu, we definitely talk a bit about that. We were in the thick of Tamagotchi talk, I think, when the tornado came through. So, but tonight we are going to tell you about some cool video game that we've been checking out, and then we'll get into the fun stuff that Chase has planned. And also, if you were here Monday night, you saw Pragmata. And Chase, you saw that game for the first time. You had not played the demo or anything of the sort, so that was your first Mayan voyage with Diana and Hugh.
Experience.
What do you feel after Monday night?
I think it looks like a really competent video game, and I can totally understand why people are excited about it. I think the thing that was most interesting from our discussion on Monday is how this feels like a video game that people don't make anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That this is the totally single player experience. It doesn't have microtransactions in it. Like it's a fucking video game.
It's a game.
And outside,
game.
Yeah, it doesn't even. It has no multiplayer sections. It doesn't even have like a hey, you can go do deathmatch or something outside of the main thing. No season passes or anything like that. And we're just not seeing a whole lot of that these days. We see it, I guess, a little bit with Sony, where they're still doing their prestige single player games. But even then, most of those games have some sort of additional content that you can buy, or cosmetic stuff, or passes of some sort. And so to see Pragmata just really embrace being a solid video game.
Sure.
I think you even mentioned, like, this feels like something that would have been on the 360, and it's not so much that it's not so much that it's not good or not exciting or interesting, but if this came out on the 360 during that era, we would have put it next to a ton of other just good single player 360 games.
Yeah,
but the fact of the timing has made it pretty exciting, and also, you know, it is a pretty well executed video game in many of the things that it's doing. And has that continued to be your experience?
Oh yeah. So you got to see us like cleaning up a little bit of that second area, which was New York, and that's no spoiler. They advertised that in the trailer for the game. but I have gotten everything I can. There's 2 chests that I just don't have the ability yet to do that. Trying to think what else will be new. So the pistol that you have that like reloads its ammo slowly has been upgraded to a triple burst battle rifle, which is really cool. So you get a little bit, and it has like, I don't know, 25 bullets, and its whole mechanic is about heat. So it's really cool if you heat up an enemy type, it causes them to go into a state that you can come up and do like a big finisher. And so you're really generating heat on those robots and then using your other stuff with it. Unlocked a few more things on the trials. So I got to complete a few more of those and put the coins on the big bingo card and unlocking more abilities there with it. But the story seems to be going in some interesting places. I think it's one of my favorite things I've played this year by a long shot. I love the dynamic of Diana and Hugh, and that was one from the play test I went through where I was like, I wonder if this will wear out its welcome. Like, and I wonder if that relationship will become more of an annoyance or just like some sort of bark that you hear when you're out there of like, hey, look out, here they come, or just like nonsensical binary chipping that she does sometimes. But her contextual awareness about like what just happened has been really cool. Like if you die to a certain enemy, it's like those things are crazy. Do you remember when you beat it like 3 times ago? Yeah, I think that you were shooting like that thing on its back. Why didn't you do it this time? Like stuff of that. Like she's kind of like critiquing you, but also just having like what would be a natural conversation of like, hey, why did you not do this thing that you know how to do? Like, let's do this. Come on, move. But there's also been some stuff about parents and Hugh's background and really just fascinating, like this whole like 3D printed moon and all the shit that's happening on it. I think the story has a lot of heart and charm. Nobody's overstaying their welcome. Combat continues to evolve in really meaningful ways. Like the type of upgrades I'm getting feel great. There's a lot more strategy to it that I think is really unique and just fun. And how I'm starting to chain and like build my confidence and even like playbooks. We kind of talked about like, oh, you could go right to this red room and use your loadout the way that you would want to. But now it's more of like, okay, I'm going to start with these things because I'm going to pick up this. And if I have that, then I can kind of pivot into this type of build. And it's whether it's guns or nodes and all that stuff. So there's a lot of tinkering and there's a lot of just very easy box checking. So if I go and do a bunch of combat, that's great. I know how to get through it. It's not always like replaying the same loop because you might not get the same layout of how you're doing your attacks. But you kind of get into those environments and understand like, I need to have a decoy. I need to have a stasis, and how I use those and when I use those is really cool. But I'm loving it. Like everything about it, the whole package, it runs really well. It looks great. It plays great. It's incredibly well executed. And it makes me think a bit about like, is this like Christopher Nolan? I'll use this really weird example for you. After he did Batman Begins, Warner Brothers gave him this like kind of sweetheart deal where they said, hey, if you grind out these Batman movies, we will basically give you a blank check to do whatever weird shit you want to do between them. So you had Batman Begins, and then you had The Prestige. And then you had The Dark Knight, which fucking blew the roof off of it. And then you get Inception. And then you get The Dark Knight Rises, and then you get Interstellar. And so like he gets to do these really cool like sweetheart deals. And I feel like Capcom has been using Resident Evil for a while to kind of do these sweetheart deals for other weird shit, like the stuff that they're doing with this and some of the other weird creative things they've done with Street Fighter as of late, the movies and all that. So all this to be said, Capcom is standing out as more of the way like a Devolver kind of does, of like you can always say I'm going to appreciate what they're doing to a degree. I might not play everything that they have, but I think you can start to really rely on them to be executing more than they're missing.
Yeah, I think this game has started a number of interesting discussions, and one disgusting one. But I mean, we'll touch on that real quick and just be like, it seems like everybody's very excited about Diana, and we were all happy about how the quality of this, and then the internet or the Western Hemisphere internet found out that Diana's voiced by a black woman, and then decided, oh, we actually don't like Diana, which is stupid and bullshit, of course.
Oh my God.
It has also been interesting hearing people talk about how this this game might just be a psyop by the Japanese government to try to get their birth rate up, the Japanese birth rate up, because players are starting to play this game and going, oh, I feel emotional towards Diana. Yep. Maybe I would want a kid on my own, and maybe I should get married and have children. Which I don't think that's what's happening. I think if anything, it's probably just those developers. We saw it plenty with like the God of War games too. Yeah. Of these developers are just becoming fathers at this point. They're becoming parents. And what do they want to talk about, and what do they want to explore from an emotional perspective? They want to explore the parent-child relationship, and that's coming into these video games now. And so I think Japan is not immune to that either. They are also getting older and having kids and thinking about those things. So it is interesting.
They're calling it dad space.
Yes, absolutely. So all those things I think are this game is getting a lot of buzz for a lot of different reasons. Plus the Capcom stuff, which I think is interesting too, and seeing how well they've done. It seems like they kind of transitioned from Monster Hunter being their big hit to the last Monster Hunter kind of faltered a little bit, right? That was not your favorite.
It still did really well, but most people that I know that care about the franchise didn't stick with it nearly like Rise and Worlds. I'm one of those people. Like I think I nominated for most disappointing last year.
But I'm really liking Monster Hunter Stories 3 generally. I have some issues with it as well, but it seems like that game is pretty well received these days, and to see Resident Evil come back with these remakes and new games and be very exciting to a lot of people. You're right. Capcom is firing on all cylinders right now and doing a lot of interesting things. Didn't they were the ones behind Kunitsugami, right?
They were. That's the thing I'm thinking of. Like just these weird little, like that was a very low cost. Like again, this is a $60 game, by the way, for Pragmata. And this, I think that one was like 40 2 years ago. I believe it was. Man, did you ever get that, by the way?
I didn't. I liked the demo, and I know you had a really good time with it, but stuff got in the way.
They did a Switch 2 update on that pretty recently, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, it's exciting to see Capcom doing more things and having things be successful. I'm looking forward to whatever they're doing next as well. But that's a really nice success story for Pragmata as well, and hopefully that also influences more single player driven games that are just actual fucking video games instead of another Escape from Tarkov kind of looter shooter thing. Even if people also seem to be really loving Marathon, I just don't care. And that's give me more video games like Pragmata. Even if I'm not actually playing Pragmata, I would like more games in that vein.
You can, as a enthusiast of video games, you like to see this type of thing being interjected into something you care about. Yeah. We're not going to talk about it this week. I'm just going to rub this out really quick with you.
Excuse me.
Did I say that with the right way? Is that how we say this?
That's. I hope that's not how you're supposed to say that.
I think that's the right way to do it. Because it's cards, you're rubbing the card out. Vampire Crawlers. We're going to talk about it next week. Maybe even play together. It's good. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's good. I know you don't want to hear that. You don't like to hear about good things. There's a good one out there as well. This week continues to deliver, and we didn't talk about this. Titanium Quartz comes out tomorrow, and I am so pumped about that.
Yeah, that game was fun when we played it, and it seems like it's getting a lot of very big excitement from some people.
For sure. But big excitement is the name of this next segment because this is a deep dive with Chase and hardware.
Oh, I had a video game.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Color me surprised. You just I
went on to our What You've Been Playing note because that's the date for this podcast, even though we're going to do the
Oh my God, folks. He actually used the note tonight. Look at him. He's actually talking about a new game. Wow.
No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about an old game.
All right.
But Bobby, I have finished on my YouTube channel, Chasing Gay Plays. I have finished Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Seen credits, and I thought maybe we do a little post-mortem wrap up of that.
Sure.
When's the last time you played Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic?
Was it 2016 is when The Force Awakens came out, right?
Maybe.
I replayed it after my hype for Star Wars was at an all-time high again, and I wanted anything I could do to pass the time before that movie came out. So I replayed that game on an iPad.
Yes.
Start to finish on the iPad.
Yeah. So I tried to do a couple different things this time playing it. I hadn't played it since it first came out, and I played it on the original Xbox. That was a game that I rented from Blockbuster, I think, 2 separate times to finish, and remember having a really good time with it. Remember staying up really late to try to finish it because we had to take it back the next day. So I'm just playing my heart out, and there were things about that original playthrough that I certainly have nostalgia for, but I played that as a good guy, wanted to be light side, wanted to play Jedi, and also I had missed out on one of the characters that could be a party member, and that's Juhani that you get on Dantooine.
Oh.
So I just messed that up. I didn't do the dialogue options right, and it's one that you can end up missing. So I thought, okay, let's right the wrongs. Let's play the game this time. Get this character that I haven't seen before, and also just to do something different, let's play this dark side. And I gotta say, I don't think this game is very good when you play it dark side. I don't think they had the tone down for you to play it that way.
I'll take it a step further. I don't think BioWare is good at making playing their games bad fulfilling. I don't think any of the Mass Effect playthroughs that I had when I went Renegade.
Even with Mass Effect, they tried to make it a little better.
They did, but it still wasn't great.
Sure, but like saying this is not light side, dark side, it's Paragon or Renegade. You can still be a Renegade and be a good guy. We're still like they tried to be like Shepard is a good guy generally, but
sure,
or girl. But they, if you go Renegade, it's more of they don't take shit and they get shit done. But you're right. It wasn't quite perfect.
No, and the other thing that sucks is, especially in KOTOR 2, dark side abilities are far more fun to have in combat, and you have to suffer through everything else about it. I think the outfits are cooler most of the time for the dark side folks. I think the lightsaber stuff is way cooler. And I think all the Force abilities are more fulfilling and fun to engage with, especially in 2. They felt a lot more violent and just disruptive. Sure. But you have to put up with
some. You can still use those abilities as a light side Jedi, but at least in KOTOR 1, but they cost you more Force points. So it's harder to play that way. The game makes it more difficult for you to try to use kill or Force storm if you're playing as a good guy, which is a bit lame, but you can understand why from like a flavorful perspective. Although at some point in that game, your Force point regen is so high that it kind of doesn't matter, and you can just use whatever you want.
Sure.
So I also ended up going with a high Dex build, and then eventually, when I was able to get Force powers, I kind of swapped to going to a full Force power build, and trying that way as well. And I gotta say, I don't think the game is built for that. My final boss fight with Malik, or actually there's 2 final fights, I guess light spoilers here for KOTOR, a game that's been out for fucking ever.
Long time.
Maybe you might remember these 2 fights, but you're in the Starforge and you're just about to get to Malik. It's the second to last fight. And he kind of confronts you, and then he says, my droids will handle it. I'll talk to you later. The Starforge's droid capabilities is blah, 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 blah. You have to fight all this shit now. And all of these robots come out of these pods, and you have to fight these motherfuckers. And eventually what they want you to do is go to each of the pods and slice the computers and override each of the pods and make them all crash so they can't keep replicating new droids to fight. And that thing is a fucking slog.
Mm-hmm.
Because they throw like 8 of these things at you at once. And the worst part is from a UI perspective, you are unable to get out of combat. You're unable to just go, okay, I don't want to fight these guys. I just want to go over to that computer.
Sure.
And it goes, we don't care that you want to go over to the computer. You're not going to let you even select the computer. You have to fight all these guys. So what you have to do, and at this point, your party members are gone. You've left your party members behind. It is just you. So you have to destroy enough of these droids and get the fuck away before new droids can replicate and get to a computer to shut down your first one. And once you start shutting them down, it becomes easier to crowd control and then get over to the other ones and get this stuff done. And you can even, if you have enough computer parts or computer spikes, that you're able to make a droid that fights on your behalf. And so he can kind of take a bunch of the aggro while you go and take care of some of the other computers. That fight sucks when you're doing like a full force power build, because when you're in combat, your force points do not regenerate. So I use Force Storm enough times and I take out a few droids and more replicated, and I couldn't remember exactly how this thing worked, how the mechanic worked for this fight. And so I'm still fighting more droids, and now I'm out of force points and they're still just all over me. And I go, what in the hell am I supposed to do? I'm chucking grenades now, and that's not really working either. It is just terrible. And I ended up, I didn't actually have to end up restarting the fight, thankfully, but I got to a point of, okay, I need to use like the adhesive grenades and freeze these guys in place, and then I'm at least able to go and get one of the computers done. And it was just a fucking mess. And I remembered how much I hated this fight and how annoying it is. And it's the second to last fight in the game. Do you remember this fight?
Now that you're talking about it a little bit, but I always just like kind of jump right to Malik when I think about those.
I'm sure it's easier if you're just playing with a lightsaber and just cutting through these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Or if you even just have the destroy droid force power, which I didn't do because I had other party members who were like specifically the droid taker outers. And so now I'm alone and I go, well, this is a game about having a party that was well balanced, and now all the well balanced people are gone and it's just me. And I'm just this scrawny
there's
little
no
guy
longer well balanced people, Chase.
Yes. So then you get to Malik. And the Malik fight is also kind of bad, where you chip him down enough, and then he's got a number of Jedi that he has locked up in some other additional pods, and he will go and suck the life force out of them, and then you have to kind of redo the fight a bunch of times. Oh, yeah. So when you are playing dark side, and I guess you can do this when you're light side too, it just is a real dick move.
More. Yeah.
You can go and kill all the Jedi beforehand, and so he's not able to drain their energy because you've already killed them all, or drain them yourself. And that's fine. The problem is when you're playing as a solely force power person, and even though I've maxed out as much force power stuff as possible, I have the highest charisma and wisdom that I could possibly have, he's resisting or immune to any of the force powers that I'm throwing out. And then he is just cutting me up with the lightsaber. And I go, what the fuck am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I was so angry. I died so many times. The last episode of Chasey K Plays of Go Play a Star Wars is out now, and it's 2.5 hours long. And I gotta say that I think it's like the last hour is me trying to figure out how to fucking do this fight. And
it's like your Battlefront playthrough that I got to see.
Sure. Yes, something like that. And the way I ended up doing it is the most loser possible way I could have done it, which is putting on Burst of Speed, which makes the game look like absolute dog shit. It just puts that grainy blurriness all over the screen. And using that to run away from Malik enough, and taking out some of the Jedi and healing myself through them, and then laying down mines. It's like the first time I'm ever using mines in the game, and I'm laying down mines and chipping them out that way, and running and laying down more mines and chipping them down that way. It was terrible. And you finally get him down to like no health, and then a cutscene plays where he goes, Revan, you always were stronger than me. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. There's nothing about this fight that makes me the true Dark Lord of the Sith This is terrible.
Oh my God.
It was so painful. It was.
Well, that's more of an operator error than the game itself, but yes.
No, it's not, because
It
is
is.
a game that tells you can be whatever you want. You can be light side, you can be dark side. You can go strength build, you can go gun build, you can go force powers.
You didn't
and
think
I
ahead
said,
far
fine.
enough.
I'm making a choice. I'm making one of the choices that you're giving me, and my choice is I want to play super dark side, and I want to play force powers, and I want to use force storm on people and insanity and those kinds of things. And for most of the game, it's totally fine. And then this last fight, they go, "Fuck you! That's not the right answer. You don't get to play the game correctly anymore." So
man. Get good, you know.
I did get good, and I beat the game, and I saw credits, and I hate that fight, and I thought it was really stupid, and I also thought many of the story beats at the end, especially if you are going dark side, are ridiculously stupid. I think they do Bastila incredibly dirty in that game.
Sure.
Bastila, who's already a character who I think is generally kind of bad, no matter how you play it, but especially when you're going dark side, it is ridiculous how she just keeps swapping sides and is so confident about whatever side she's on now. She's like, "Oh, actually, right, you just beat me in 5 seconds. I guess actually you're super strong, and I'm gonna be like your second in command now." I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker, that's how it's always been. What are you doing? Why'd you?"
Obi Sean.
I had a lot of a lot of more in-depth thoughts on that as I played the video game. So if you do want to go see,
there's hours upon hours for people to see it.
There are, and there's more context. But I thought I'm glad I went back through. I'm glad I played it. I definitely got to a point where I thought this game might not be as good as we remembered it.
Oh my God!
KOTOR 2 now. I think KOTOR 2
doesn't like a game. Say it ain't so.
That's rude. Don't say that. So anyway, go check out that. It's over now. It took 27 episodes to do, but we are done with KOTOR, and I'm looking forward to moving on to my next game. Maybe this weekend, or maybe next week rather. I'll play it over the weekend, or maybe I'll take a break this week. We'll see. But anyway,
KOTOR done. That's good.
Yes,
that is good to hear. Do you want to dive into some deepness at this point?
Sure. So where we left it last time, we were still talking about this device, the Pokemon Pikachu, and that came out March 27th, 1996 in Japan, and November 2nd, 1998 here. Or sorry, I said 96, 98 in Japan, and 98 here because Pokemon didn't come out until then. So we were just finishing up with this of like all the things that you could do here. You know, you didn't have to feed it or clean up after it like you did for a Tamagotchi, which we were also discussing on last week's episode. We talked about some of the mini games that you could play. There was a slot mini game where you could wager the watts, the currency that you got by walking this thing, because it's also a pedometer, which got into the idea of gambling and slot machine stuff that early Pokemon games had that they've now all taken out because it possibly depicts gambling, which is why Balatro gets rated M these days because it looks like gambling even though it's not. Pokemon same way. They're like, oh, you can't have slot machines. That's what are you doing? You got to change those.
It's a bridge too far for them.
It's wild. Anyway. So we were just about to finish up with this. There are 4 levels of friendship that you could have with your Pokemon Pikachu. There is dislike, which Pikachu doesn't like you at that point. You've done something bad. You haven't played with it for a while, and it just won't respond to you. And you end up having to give it a bunch of watts, I believe, or a bunch of presents that cost watts before it will start to go back to its neutral default setting for you. It starts at its neutral default setting when you first get it, so that's nice. But it can move into dislike. But then it also has like and love, and those are 2 separate levels. And Pikachu will have different animations or make different sounds based on its like or love for you. Also interesting, Nintendo would work with Sanrio. Bobby, do you know who Sanrio is?
I don't think so.
Okay, they're the Hello Kitty people. So they made a Hello Kitty version of a Pokemon Pikachu and had like a Hello Kitty license that was, it was a completely different device, but it was still was based on the same thing as the Pokemon Pikachu, but with Hello Kitty stuff. I don't know if that one actually showed up in the US. That might have just been a Japan only thing. Anyway, so that was the Pokemon Pikachu. And it went over well. I don't have sales numbers. Wasn't able to find sales numbers in front of me, but I remember that was still pretty popular. Even while Tamagotchis were becoming a lot less popular, that fad was kind of ending. But the Pokemon Pikachu, by the grace of just having Pikachu on it, was probably good enough for it to make those sales.
$19.
$19 for
is what it cost when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
Right after our episode last week, I got something that popped up on like TikTok or some shit where it's like scans from a Toys R Us ad. Mm-hmm. And it was like their Game Boy focused one. And at the center of all these Game Boy carts and plasters, they had front and center the Pocket Pikachu there.
Wild, right?
Wild. Like literally hadn't seen one of those probably in 30 years, it feels like. And I see it twice in a week. Who would have thought?
They're listening to you. That's why.
I'm surprised they haven't brought it back, to be honest with you.
They kind of did twice. Not recently, but they kind of did twice, which is what I want to talk about for the rest of the show here, which is the first one is the Pokemon Pikachu 2, which despite the Tamagotchi fad fading in somewhere around 1998, Nintendo just kind of kept going with it. They had enough success with the first one that they thought, hey, let's make a new one. So this second version was released in November of 1999 in Japan and October of 2000 here in the US. And it released on the same date as Pokemon Gold and Silver. So while it was kind of a companion to those games, we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a second. Very similar to this original one. I don't have a Pokemon Pikachu 2, but it's very similar in design. It still had that kind of Game Boy style design to it like this one does. But it had a different shell and had different button color variants in Japan. US only got the one version. It was a silver one that had kind of sparkly flecks, and it also had the GS logo. Do you remember seeing that GS logo a lot? It was in the anime. There was going from the original Kanto stuff to the Johto stuff. The storyline there, they went through the Seafoam Islands, or not the Seafoam, the Orange Islands. That was right. And the whole point of the Orange Island stuff in the anime was to figure out what to do with the GS ball. It was like this gold Pokeball that they had to figure out, which, funny enough, in the anime, once they got to Johto, never got mentioned again. They never really figured out what was in the GS ball or what that whole thing was about. It just, fuck it, we're here, so don't worry about that.
We got where we needed to go.
But they also, because they were so gold and silver pilled at this point, even though the Pokemon Pikachu 2 didn't do a heck of a lot with gold and silver, in the American one they just put a big GS on the top of it, so you're like, oh, this goes with gold and silver. When I buy my gold or silver copy, I gotta buy this too, right? It had a color screen now, and it had new Pikachu graphics and emotions, whereas this one, it kind of still had the old like fat Pikachu design to it, just a little chunker. This one had more of that kind of slimmed down Pikachu, that more modern Pikachu that we started seeing around this time. And it also had an infrared port that could be used with the mystery gift function of the Gold, Silver, and Crystal video games. So in the same way that you could do like that mystery gift stuff with the Game Boy Colors, where you could do that, or for Pokemon trading card game, they had the Card Pop, I believe they called it, which is basically just the same kind of mystery gift. So that device, that second device, had that port, so you would be able to connect it in some way to your cartridge, and you could use your watts and convert your watts into items that you could then put into Gold and Silver. So for 1 single watt, you could get a piece of Eon mail. The mail didn't do anything in the game, but you could get a piece of mail that way. For 100 watts, you could get a berry. For 200 watts, you could get a bitter berry. 300 watts would get you a great ball. 400 for a max repel. 500 for an ether. $600 for a Miracle Berry, which I believe the Miracle Berry is could cure any status effect if your Pokemon was holding it when they got one. They in later Pokemon games that's been changed to what's called a Lum Berry. That will heal those statuses. Very important for your Pokemon Champions playing, Bobby. I know you're really excited about Pokemon Champions. Lumberry is the one that you want.
Those berries are also important in Pokopia.
I'm sure. I can believe that. $700 for a Gold Berry, which I think is close to like a citrus berry these days. $800 for an Elixir, $900 for a Revive, and then if you gave them 999 watts, you could get a single rare candy, which would level up your Pokemon by 1 level. Bobby, if you wanted to get 999 watts to buy a single rare candy, we talked about watts were, a single watt was about 20 steps last week. You would have to walk 19,980 steps, the equivalent of 8.3 miles to level up your Pokemon one time.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to bring it up later on, but I used to walk about 6 to 8 miles a day at work when I worked in the mall, just working retail. And if you're going to talk about it, just tell me to shut up. But Pokemon Go had something that you could wear that did a similar thing, and I remember I would just have that going all day long at work. So had I had that job back then, which I did not want to be walking around and doing that. But that's a hefty ask for one level.
Yes, exactly. But when it's just something you're doing on the side anyway,
sure.
And hey, I guess I do have enough watts to get this rare candy. Why not? I suppose. Let me level my Lugia up from 79 to 80. That would have taken me 12 in-game minutes. Well, fuck that. What if I walked 8.3 miles to get this thing?
Went to Home Depot and said, "Hey, will you put this on a can of paint?"
Yeah.
I'm going to go walk around for 10 minutes and you'll have like 50 fucking rare candies.
Yeah. Yeah. So notably, you still didn't have to take care of Pikachu at all with this device. You didn't even have to, even less than this one, where you at least still had to play with Pikachu on the original one and had the dislike and neutral and like and love. None of that on this one. It was just, if you walk around with it, you got the watts from the pedometer. You can still play games with Pikachu. You can still buy presents and things, and you will see new animations from Pikachu. But none of that shit affected your friendship level. Like playing with Pikachu didn't affect your friendship level at all. It was just, can you buy more shit for Pikachu for him to play with or her to play with? I don't know the gender of Pikachu of the device.
Sure.
And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, though the Pokemon Go device was one that I completely had forgotten about. So thank you for bringing that one.
Yeah.
But yes, it's not a surprise. We already showed it off, Bobby. But the last thing I want to talk about is this Pokewalker. So as Pokemon Pikachu 2 was closely tied to Pokemon Gold and Silver, the Pokewalker was this companion device that got put in with Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver on the Nintendo DS. It was bundled in a box with those games, and those games came out in September of 2009 in Japan, March of 2010 here in the States. So as you can see, I'll hold them both up for our viewers here. They look quite a bit different. They stopped going with that Game Boy style design and went to this Pokeball style design instead. A lot smaller of a form factor, a little bigger than, we're talking about fads here. A little bigger than like a Pog, maybe about the same size as a Pog. Do you have Pogs?
Hold that back up. In diameter?
Yeah.
It looks a little bit small. Maybe slightly smaller, right?
Really? Maybe it's been a while since I've seen a Pog. It also came with this little extra plastic piece, because this thing, unlike the Pokemon Pikachu that had this clip built into the actual device, this thing has just like a smooth back, just like a little. It can lay on a desk. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it also did come with this little extra piece of plastic adapter thing that had a little clip on it, and you could unscrew this little screw and then screw it into the actual device, and then you could have, similar to the Pokemon Pikachu, you could put it on your belt and carry it around that way, because this also had a pedometer to it as well. Let's see. So still a pedometer. It still had the infrared tech, but it also had a lot more functionality than with the video games for this one. So you could transfer any Pokemon from your gold or from your Heart Gold or Soul Silver game to the Pokewalker. There, this isn't a Pokemon Pikachu. It doesn't just have something inside for you already. You had to put a Pokemon in this. And then as you walked around with the Pokemon, it kind of functioned a little bit like the daycare center, where it wasn't so much time, but just as the pedometer went on, that you as you walked through, you'd continue gaining experience for the Pokemon that was in it. So only one Pokemon at a time, but still the idea that, hey, you're actually traveling with your Pokemon at this point was kind of a cool idea. You could also catch wild Pokemon or find items that could be transferred back to Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
With that little thing?
Mm-hmm, with just this little thing. So there was a Safari game-like battling system that was a completely new battling system, but just for this device. The wild Pokemon would have 4 HP. I think you and the wild Pokemon would both have 4 HP. So the battling was this very simplified style of battling. And if you didn't catch the Pokemon within enough tries, and I think taking tries took off some of the HP of the Pokemon, it would just run away. So it wasn't, again, it's not like a normal Pokemon game where you could just throw 30 Pokeballs at it. You had a limited number of tries for that in this game. Some of the Pokemon that were unobtainable before the Kanto sections of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, something like Murkrow or Houndour, those guys that show up only once you get back to the original Kanto, those were available in the Pokewalker. So that was kind of a, not exactly a cheat code, but a little additional shortcut content that you could get by playing with this thing instead. This device also still used watts as its currency. And battling a Pokemon would cost 10 watts. So if you wanted to go try to capture Pokemon, you'd have to spend the watts, and the watts were still 20 steps to a watt. So you'd have to take 200 steps to be able to try to catch
That's
a wild
watt.
Pokemon. That is a watt of steps. Yep. And you could only capture so many. I can't remember exactly how many, but you could only capture so many Pokemon here before it would be filled, and you would either have to replace one of the Pokemon you caught or just let it go when you caught a new one. That was what the walker did too for Pokemon Go. Like, it would just be as long as you had room in your backpack. And that was like, if you had that thing on and you were driving, like, you would get home and you'd be like, oh shit, I've got a bunch of Pokemon. Like, cool. Did that also have any of like it didn't have Street Pass exactly, but if you pass somebody else with one of those, do you know if it did anything?
It would spin Pokestops. It would, because you would always get a bunch of cool shit from that too.
Right.
It would work on the steps you needed for your egg. That was the real big one. It's like, I hatched so many eggs at work just walking around the mall. It didn't do anything. Well, yeah, I think it maybe did something with a friend. I can't remember that for sure. Definitely Pokestops, definitely catching, and definitely eggs is what it was really cool.
Which is pretty handy. Like, there wasn't anything wrong with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Little less time looking at your phone, which is always nice. And so this thing, you could do the battling of the wild Pokemon and catch some stuff, but there was also this dowsing machine mini game, like an item finder kind of thing. And you would be able to find items at the cost of watts. I wasn't able to find like a full list of the items you could find. Or how much. I think it still cost you 10 watts to do the dowsing mini game as well. So you could only do that so many times, but you could potentially get some rarer items that you'd be able to put back into your Heart Gold and Soul Silver game. Kind of cool. And if 2 Pokewalkers were linked through infrared, each player would get an item or some watts. So it very much functioned like a mystery gift thing, but just on these little devices themselves. The infrared is on the top. It's a little hard to see here, but
does that one still work? I know the other one didn't.
It probably does, but I have not replaced these watch batteries ever. So, so at this point, this one does not turn on. But I don't know. But I found just doing this research to be kind of fun. Just thinking about these little devices, thinking about where Nintendo went from here. Thinking about something like the Street Pass for the 3DS that we got is the Pokewalker is not exactly the same thing, but there was that idea of what if this device is just on me? How can it interact with the world around me as I go? As you mentioned, the Pokemon Go stuff felt very close to something like that as well. So I found these devices kind of interesting. They more or less died off as individual items. Like we never got a Pokemon Pikachu 3 or anything like that. The Pokewalker only worked for Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I don't believe it had any functionality with any of the other Pokemon video games. But I still find these to be interesting pieces of Nintendo and Pokemon history.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, Nintendo, it's very seldom that like they can get people to be active. They've tried a few different times. I think about like the Wii Sports was probably like one of the big tentpole moments.
Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Ring Fit, like
Ring Fit did well. They've done it. I don't think Ring Fit took off nearly to the degree that the other ones did. I think the Labo stuff too, like the act of building and like having these things with it. But these, like, I remember hearing people talk about them, and I never had those because, like, as we talked about, my handheld Nintendo kind of stopped after that Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
But to get people to move around with the, like, hey, you can get items in Pokemon, you can level up Pokemon. I do remember hearing, like, wait, you're just leveling up your Pokemon by walking, and thinking that, like, how is this even a thing? Like, that's crazy. But
I'm like Ash Ketchum over here. I'm taking this thing to school. I'm walking around. Like, it's actually happening.
I think that, like, if you look at that meme of the little domino to the really big domino, like, Pokemon Go is 100% informed by the ideology of those devices. And look at what happened with that. And like all the trappings are there, you know, like you need to have this stuff to go into this to do that. Like, it's just crazy to see. Like, Nintendo will always blow my mind on like what they can get to stick and making people active and finding ways to give you little like tethers away from the core product, and like these little miniature ecosystems they build around a very silly thing is kind of wild to see happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, especially for people in our generation, that when I'm in late elementary school, middle school, we didn't have cell phones at this time. Like, cell phones were a thing, but it wasn't something that, you know, every kid had. Certainly not at those ages. You didn't have cell phones at that time. So also our probably, I imagine the same at your school, but my school was like, don't bring a fucking Game Boy here. Like, you're here to learn. Like, you're not supposed to bring that shit. And my parents would want me to bring it anyway because that's an expensive device. Do what?
I hollowed out the pages of a Lutheran catechism, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And I just put the like binding around my Game Boy, and they just thought I was, you know, talking to the Lord. And
you're so pious.
Well, also, like, I'm huge, so like I have to sit in the back row.
It's the perfect plan.
It's dude. I literally had that. I'd pull it out. I'd slide the Game Boy Color into it, and I would hold it and make it. I would like hold the middle spine with my left thumb and have my right thumb on the corner of it. And every now and again, I'd like overly gesture my hand moving.
Sure.
I did that all the fucking time.
Yeah, you get away with it. But, you know, the Game Boy was an expensive enough device. It costs like, what, $100 or something, that, you know, your parents didn't want you to take it to school.
You have
didn't
Nintendo
want to
at
get
home.
it confiscated. But these little devices, something that you could take. And, you know, you weren't looking at it all the time. They weren't built to be played with all the time. But when you're in middle school and you're just starting to have the classes that aren't like, you actually have to move between classes now, and you have like 5 minutes between classes, and you're like, oh, okay, hey, I can check on my Pokemon on the Pokewalker and see if, or like catch one thing. That made for a pretty cool experience, and that was like an exciting little way of finding more out of the day. And I imagine today the kids are just on their phones all the fucking time, right?
Yeah.
Or they have them that you got to put it in a basket or something before the day starts. But like, just having those things available to you. Because I certainly remember, getting a cell phone in high school, and now you're just texting your friends during class all the time. And that's not great.
The reason I said I'm surprised they haven't done another one of these is Gen Z is kind of rejecting a lot of like modern tropes of technology, and from more analog like CD players to wired headphones. They all kind of have, I don't know what, like Labubus and all that shit, like the little tchotchkes that they have that hang from keychains and like clips and stuff on the phones. Like, I'm just surprised that with the 30th anniversary and like the nostalgia of the 90s, especially for Gen Z, that they haven't put something out more modern with like that Pikachu or like an Eevee. Like, here's a Pikachu, here's an Eevee of those.
Sure. So yeah, the Pokemon Company and Nintendo haven't done that, but Tamagotchi definitely has. Like there are Tamagotchi revivals. There are specifically like, hey, we have brought back the old technology and just put it in a new package, or it even looks like the old one. You can go grab these kind of retro Tamagotchis, but then they also have modern Tamagotchis. And even outside of the brand name of Tamagotchi, there are other companies that are also doing these style of devices as well. Because you're right, like there certainly is a Gen Z, or even whatever the fuck generation after Gen Z is. What is that, Alpha? So like they are getting into that rejecting of just apps and things like that. So like having physical devices and caring about those things, that does seem to be something that people are shifting to, which is another interesting reason to talk about these things today and what they did and what impact they had. But yeah, these things are cool. Man. They weren't very good, but they were cool, and we liked them at the time. I do remember there was one time I was just the coolest fucking kid, and I had my Pokemon Pikachu on one side of my belt, and I had my Digivice on the other side, and I'm just walking around, and I was just so fucking
It's probably
cool.
A good thing that you were big.
It's probably, just had my hoodie, so it covered up both of them. Nobody knew, just me. It was just me
packing
and my
heat,
Pokemon
folks.
and my Digimon.
Is that a Pokemon Pikachu in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
It could be both.
Very cool. Thank you so much for dusting off some of your hardware. I know that you've got a lot of it. I was driving.
I'm running out of like interesting things to bring up on the podcast anymore. I got a lot of shit, but I don't know if I have podcast worthy shit anymore.
I am thankful, but also a bit sorrowful that I did not keep a lot of my shit. Like, the one thing I can't seem to shake, there's two things actually, I'm sorry. One is my first Game Boy, which was my Atomic Purple Game Boy Color. I wish I had that still. And the other is I had the gold cartridge Ocarina of Time. I wish I had my original cartridge of Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, I already have certain things that I still collect physically. And I mean, Legos, you can see a lot of that around me. I have one directly behind my chair. I don't know where to put it at this point. Like, I literally am trying to figure out where to put Legos.
Move out of the way. Show the audience the hell that you have wrought.
Let me lower that. So I've got,
look at that.
I've got the like Pokemon set, which actually they just leaked. So it's not really a leak. You'll find this really cool. They have a campaign going where you design a Pokemon trading card with Lego. And I saw 2 Gyarados. I saw a really cool Greninja. The Mew one blew my fucking mind. And so people are going to vote on these, and then they're going to make this a set that you can build like a smaller, like 5x7 Pokemon card kind of mosaic. Anyway, I got the Pokemon set. I haven't put together the badges yet. I also need to put right there is where I got the Ocarina Lego set. And I'll be moving Mario Kart Mario up here with Luigi, because I got the Luigi cart to go as well.
Yeah. Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Like Lego's one of those things that has certainly stuck around, and they've found, other properties and ways of bringing that nostalgia back.
But I say all that, just, you're running out of shit. I wish I had more shit sometimes.
I've got more shit. It's
I
just
know,
will it be as interesting? Will it fill up a show? We'll see. But,
I know, like, we've talked about it enough, and with you getting one, I do think we're going to kind of do a state of emulation deep dive and maybe talk a bit more about some of those handhelds. So that's definitely one I'm looking forward to this year, and that's not old nostalgia. Well, it is in a weird way. But,
in a way, it's kind of this meeting of old and new.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate it. You always do just a fantastic job on these, and I had not talked about that device. I think I recently talked about. I think Johnny actually had the stepper. I'm pretty sure he had that. I think he brought that to Apple at one point in time and was wearing it, because I think that's when he got like a DS or a 3DS, and he was playing through some of those. Actually, I do think that I remember him wearing that at Apple. And
he seems like a loser enough who might have done that.
Yes. But that is the deep dive this month. We'll be back next month with one of those. We also took a minute this week to play Pragmata, which we talked a lot about. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I think that you all should be checking it out. I'm certainly enjoying checking it out. If you want to check it out like Chase did, you can watch our VOD. And then tonight was part 2, episode 466 of the deep dive. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun with that. And if you would like, I don't know why our stuff's not working. Sorry, I'm just like trying to figure out why this did not populate. There we go.
One thing, it's the other,
There we go. We're back in business. You can follow along with all the fun stuff we have going there. We've got quite a bit. Monday, there's at least 2 games I'm looking at right now that we should and could stream. So tune in to see which one I decide. I've talked about both of them on here, so you be the judge. And Chase wrapped up KOTOR, as we all heard about. He might be taking a break, but he has plenty of other things to keep you all busy. Chase, tell the folks what you've been doing.
Yeah, go check out that finale of Go Play a Star Wars on Chase K Plays. And outside of that, I also have a new episode of Pilot Program that came out late last night. So there's a brand new episode of Pilot Program, the podcast I do with good friend of our show, Pierce Shane. Pierce and I watched the first episodes of every television show ever made. This newest episode was on The Pit, the very very popular HBO Max show that just wrapped up its 2nd season. So if you are done watching the 2nd season of The Pit and want to listen to 2 idiots who had never seen the show before talk about just the first episode, man, I've got the perfect podcast for you. We also announced that our next episode is going to be on Alton Brown's Good Eats, which I'm pretty excited by. That'll be our first kind of cooking show specifically that we've done for Pilot Program, and I think it'll be really fun to talk about the mechanics of cooking shows and how they work. And I think I'm actually going to try to cook the recipe that is made on the show, so I can talk about that as well. We'll see. We could do a whole lot of fun things with that. So look forward to that. I think we're recording that in a couple weeks. So that should be up relatively soon.
Fuck yeah.
That's all I got.
Next week is just what you've been playing for us, right?
That's right.
Okay. I didn't know if we'd be up against the preview episode next week already or not. I had no idea.
We're getting close, but no, I think we have one more week of what you've been playing.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back on Monday with the video game, and we'll be back